Let's continue our reading. Last time we stopped at this paragraph, talking about the skillful quality of the Buddha, where he has to deal with many various situations and how he has to adapt his teachings. We'll continue with this paragraph. The Buddha's task at this stage in the unfolding of his doctrine is to impart to us a radically new education in the art of seeing. To follow the Buddha in the direction he wants to lead us, we have to learn to see beneath the surface glitter of pleasure, position, and power that usually enthralls us. And at the same time, to learn to see through the deceptive distortions of perception, thought, and feels that habitually cloak our vision. Ordinarily, we represent things to ourselves through the refractory prism of subjective biases. These biases are shaped by our craving and attachment, which they in turn reinforce. We see things that we want to see, we blot out things that threaten or disturb us, that shake our complacency, that throw into question our comforting assumptions about ourselves and our lives. To undo this process involves a commitment to truth that is often unsettling, but in the long run proves exhilarating and liberating. Okay, so this paragraph basically talk about seeing and having a deeper perspective, see beneath the surface glitter of pleasure, precision, and power that enthralls many of us. Bhikkhu Bodhi encourages us to learn to see through the deceptive distortions. Distortions of what? Of perception, thoughts, and feels that usually cloud our vision. And Sister Sakyan, would you like to continue?
The education that the Buddha imparts to us brings about a deepening of our perspective on the world. To help us transform our understanding and deepen our perspective on the world, he offers us 3 standpoints from which we can appraise the values by which we order our lives. These 3 standpoints also represent 3 moments or steps in an unfolding process of insight that starts from our common sense attitudes and moves strategically towards higher knowledge, enlightenment, and release. The 3 moments are gratification, asada, danger, adinawa, and escape, nisarana. In text 6, chapter 2, section 1 to section 3, this scheme is applied to the world as a whole. Elsewhere in the Nikayas, the scheme is applied more specifically to the 4 material elements. Samyutta Nikaya 14, section 31 to 33, the 5 aggregates, Samyutta Nikaya 22, section 26 to 28, and the 6 internal and external sense bases, Samyutta Nikaya 35, section 13 to 18. The Buddha underscores the importance of this scheme with the bold pronouncement that until he was able to fully evaluate the world, or in the text referred to just above, the elements, aggregates, and sense bases, in this way, he did not claim that he had attained the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment.
Okay, thanks, Sister Second. Okay, so this paragraph talks about these three system, or three categories, the three moments, three standpoints to unfold process of insight, like this. Starts from our these three standpoints. Start from our common sense attitudes and moves strategically toward enlightenment. What are these three? Gratification, danger, and escape. How is this three applied, or where does this tree apply to? Specifically to the four material elements. Let me highlight this. The five aggregates and the six internal and external sense bases. It will explain further in the paragraphs to come. Sister Chai Kwan, would you like to continue?
In advancing systematically through this scheme, one begins by recognizing the indubitable fact that such worldly phenomena as sense objects, forms, and feelings give us some degree of gratification. This gratification consists in the pleasure and joy, sukha, somanasa, we experience when we succeed in fulfilling our desires. Once we acknowledge this fact, we can then probe deeper by asking whether such pleasure and joy are entirely satisfactory. If we address this question with utter honesty, in a dispassionate frame of mind, we will realize that such pleasure and joy are far from satisfactory. To the contrary, they are saddled with drawbacks and defects, ranging from the trifling to the catastrophic defects that we perpetually hide from ourselves, so that we can continue unhindered in our quest for gratification. This is their danger, the second moment or step of observation. The most pervasive danger lurking behind the innocent facet of our worldly pleasures is their inherent nature of being impermanent, anicca, bound up with suffering and discontent, dukkha, and subject to inevitable change and decay, viparinama dhamma. Thank you.
Thanks, Sister Chekon. This paragraph worth to explore deeper, because I think there are many examples of this, and most of us can probably relate. So the first one is gratification. We have to recognize that there is gratification. Worldly phenomena, sense objects, forms, and feelings indeed give us some degree of gratification. We have to recognize this. What is this gratification? It's the pleasure and joy when we succeed in fulfilling our desires. So what are some examples? Recently, Singapore has been getting so hot. The temperature keep rising. So for me, I'm an aircon guy. So if there's no aircon, I would suffer. So if I have this remote over here, if I have aircon, I can just then I would receive pleasure and joy for getting shelter from the sun. So this gives me some form of gratification, and I heard some people told me they actually don't have aircon in their house, to which I respect and admire. How could they possibly live without aircon, especially in Singapore? Maybe some of you also don't live without aircon, right? So, Saikyang, is it? Does you spend only?
Yeah, most of the time, use fan or just open the window.
You can tahan even though in this temperature.
Okay, I think it's a habit. to train your body.
Yeah. Actually, it's very good. I wish I don't need aircon, but there's one time, I think 2 or 3 years ago, the aircon breaks down for 2 weeks something. Wow, I really cannot sleep. Sweat the whole day. I cannot sleep properly for 2 weeks. Okay, so that's one example, aircon. So well, this aircon give me pleasure of the temperature, then how can it become satisfactory? So it's exactly what I said just now. Whenever the aircon breaks, which is highlighted here, the nature of the aircon being impermanent, because it will break down, at some time, it will eventually break down. Because I rely, my pleasure and joy, I rely on aircon, and that's how suffering and discontent, dukkha, arises in me. And subject to inevitable change and decay, because the aircon breaks down. So that's one example. Do you guys have any other example that relates to you? One more example for me is the food that I like to eat. Sometimes when I visit that shop, that shop is closed because the person is having a break. So I can't enjoy the food that I like. Again, another impermanence. I can't expect the shop to open 24/7 just to serve me. Do you guys have some other examples perhaps that's quite relatable to you?
I guess many, right? I think in our life is full of all these things that we gratified, and then after that, hey, out of your control, you just fade away, or did something just disappear. Yeah, like even friendship or relationship, you're enjoying it, or then suddenly the person have to move to somewhere, migrate, and all that, or your relationship just change, like interest different, so you just go different ways. So something about change is really, if you can prepare for it, not so bad. If you can't prepare for it, then I think it's hard. So we are in this life, ding dong, gratify for the things that please us, and then after that it disappears, goes away, and eventually even our body also so happy with our body, and then you age, sick, and then have to die. So I guess our life is like that.
Yeah, that's true. Friendship is a good example. Well, when I was a teenager, I thought this friendship would last a lifetime. Maybe I still in contact with one of my friends, but most of them we live in a separate ways. And sometimes I wonder if marriage is for us to artificially force us to be together for a lifetime. But in fact, even marriage would not be free from impermanence. One of us eventually has to pass away and has to be separated forcefully. So thanks for the comment, Sister Billy. And
I think myself, for marriage, like before it passes, like people go separate ways, or someone pass away, even during the marriage, of the process of the marriage, there's changes. Your relationship with your partner or your spouse change. Those who can last usually is no longer that, oh, I loved you, you love me, sweet kind of love. It changed from friendship to support for each other. So even like family, they change from be couple to become family. So that is also a change, which is a nice, good change if it can last. Yeah,
that's true. It's a good point. Sister Saiken, want to add something to it?
Yeah, my example, you said, you see, I was just now mentioned the 6 internal and external sense bases, right? For me, it's the phone. The phone brings so much pleasure, right? It's one way of communicating, it's one way of learning the Dharma also, and playing games and all that. Yeah, so we have to know that we are attached to it and the danger that it brings us. So even for your example of the aircon, you know, you know that when it breaks down, you know, it affects you. So some people doesn't get upset over the aircon or the water. It's because they can train themselves, or they can put their, you know, this body in a more challenging or difficult situation, and without having the negative thoughts coming out, without having, you know, like displeasure, that kind of thing. Yeah. Even like recently, right? Don't talk about pleasure. Actually, we sometimes take things for granted. Like we are healthy, right? We are strong. And then suddenly, you know, like my dad, like that, giddiness can come to him, you know, that kind of thing. And then, so having a healthy body, yeah, it's also a gratification, you know, that, yeah, we should appreciate, but not forget that all things are impermanent. And then, like what Sister Billy, how prepared we are for the changes. So that's why the Buddha wants us to constantly, momentarily reflect on our contact. That means our 6 internal base contact with the external. When this feeling arises, what feeling is that? Happy feeling, pleasure, or, you know, dissatisfactory come out, or no feeling, or, you know, just constantly cultivate on looking at ourselves at the present moment, and don't judge, and just see how our body, our mind reacts to the present situation. Yeah, that's a form of training, which I think is very helpful to prepare us for changes. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Thanks, Sister Saika. Yeah, I think your point about the phone it's very relatable. I think most of us can't live without our phones. Like that's within arm's reach. If our phone are not within our sight or within arm's reach, I think I would start to panic a little bit. Hey, where's my phone? I think the one thing that made me go, can I ever live without my phone, is having a retreat, a 7 days retreat. Before the retreat, I was like, hey, can I survive without my phone for 7 days? But after the retreat, it's like, I wish I don't have to rely on my phone so much. Just like the 7 days retreat. Yeah. I love the example of the phone. And of course, you mentioned about health. Yeah, that is true as well. Because we won't know how someday this health will deteriorates. Yeah, and there are many ways this body can be damaged. Yeah. If you see the news, there's so many random deaths around the street. So unbelievable. Okay, I think this is a good time to stop. We have explored a few examples, things that gratify us. And the next time we continue reading, we will explore how to actually escape all this, the drawbacks of sensual pleasures. Okay, Sister Saika, would you like to do the dedication?
Dedication 回向，愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，不愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛。
Thanks, Sister Saika. Till we meet again, we will be guided by the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have a gratified Friday ahead. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you guys next time.